Do your fears still make you doubt your connection? Does your twin flame's behaviour make you question everything? Does separation make you go into a spiral? Sometimes we can forget the soul deep connection that we have with our twin because we're too busy concentrating on what we need to heal in the 3D. But what we need to remember, and what can remind us of the truth of this connection, is that fated meeting and that instant soul recognition. When you know, you know. My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach. I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse, and I also offer twin flame and spiritual guidance. This is the thing with our journey. The objective is to heal our old relationship patterns and to overcome any self-worth issues, any insecurities, any trauma, all of that. And when we're concentrating on that, when we're bombarded with, I suppose, things in the 3D, what our twin isn't doing, what we want our twin to do, we can sometimes question everything. We can sometimes doubt the whole connection. And we forget how deep the connection is on a soul level. And, I've done this myself. I've been in fear and I've been in doubt, questioning everything, wondering, is this even real? But then I get reminded again and again of how we met, of that instant soul recognition, of that knowing. And that's what it is. It's a deep soul knowing. You don't experience this with anyone else. Yes, we have soulmates in this journey. So we can have soulmates of any kind. So we can have platonic soulmates. We can't have lovers as soulmates, but we can have family members, pets, any kind of people can be a soulmate. So you can actually have a soul recognition with other people. But there's a big difference. There's a really big difference of how your soul felt when you first met your twin flame and how otherworldly your meeting was, how everything aligned so perfectly to bring you together. And like when you look back, like for me personally, I was on this journey. I'd gone through, I've known I was a twin flame for a long time, and I was on the path for a long time, but I had so much doubts about it. I'd done a lot of healing. I went through a catalyst experience, and I was just in doubt. So when I first met my twin flame, I wasn't really aware that I was still looking for my twin flame. I was just in this kind of era of just healing and, not really looking. So I used to identify as single but unavailable. So if anyone, chatted me up or anything like that, I'd be just like, no, not available. So for my twin to turn my head was an absolutely amazing thing. It was just like, what? Who are you? But the soul recognition for me happened the first time I heard his voice, prior to our first meeting. But like, this is the same morning, and I heard his voice, and I was just like, I got off the phone, and I was like, there was something. And I was like, it's like my soul recognized his voice. And then the second time on the phone, it was like I was speaking to somebody I know my whole life. And then the minute I saw his face, I was like, oh shit, there's something going on here. And I look back on that day, and it's funny, I look back on that morning, my whole morning was completely different. It was like my soul knew prior to his arrival that I was going to meet him that day. The things I did were different. Not normal. Like, anyone else it was just completely otherworldly. And it's like, and I was even thinking about this the other day, it's like, how do you even explain it? Unless you've been through it, it is this otherworldly magical experience. And the way we met as well, it was so synchronistic, the way it aligned for us to actually meet. It was pre-orchestrated. It was supposed to happen. And I think this is something that can help ground us back into our truth, is remembering that soul recognition, but remembering who they are. And I think, like, for me personally, over the last just over a year, I have gone through that roller coaster of doubts and fears, questioning everything. Am I wrong? Am I going crazy? And always, what brings me back down is remembering how we met and how synchronized it was, how perfectly orchestrated it was, and how familiar he was the minute I met him. I've never felt that, that kind of recognition with anyone before, ever. That's so annoying. And it has taken me like over a year to alleviate any fears in regards to my connection, because when we're going through that healing, where we're healing our unworthiness, which is one of our biggest ones, And we're healing that. We can question everything. We can question, is this just a regular 3D connection? Is his behavior or their behavior just a regular person? Like, I think we're bombarded with these. I think the reason everything happens the way it does is for us to be triggered into healing our old relationship patterns. But because we're healing our old relationship patterns, we're also like faced with the fears from our old relationship patterns. And when we're faced with these fears, we can actually doubt the whole connection. And I think we do go through a period, many periods on our journey of disconnect. Sometimes we can disconnect from our own souls, which means that we can disconnect from our twin. And sometimes the telepathic connection isn't as strong. And that is our test of faith. That is our test to see, do you still believe this? Do you still feel this? And our logical mind can come in and make us doubt everything, and make us feel that we are wrong, and make us feel that everything that we've known is false. But this is how we have to reconnect to our soul, reconnect to what we feel deep within ourselves. And you know, over the last few weeks, I've started to remember the promise between our souls. And that's the thing, you and your twin flame made a promise. Your souls made a promise to find each other, to recognize each other, to, overcome every single thing that gets in the way in order to be together. And this can help us to feel reassured on our journey. When we get to that deep knowing within ourselves, when we overcome that fear and that doubt, when we fight through that logical mind, and remember the deep soul bond that you have. And looking back on your whole relationship with your twin, whether you're in separation or you're in union yet, you can actually recognize every single aspect of it and how connected your souls already are. And I think that's so beautiful. Like, you know, one thing I love as well is you might not have had many physical meetings with your twin or many deep conversations, but it's like you already know them. You know what I mean? It's like you've known them. Well, you have. You've known their soul for lifetimes, for thousands and thousands of years. And that's the recognition that we have, that instant soul recognition. And that comes through the eye contact. The eyes really are the windows to the soul. And you know what I find, I think it's funny. I think a lot of the times when you're with your twin as well, there's a fear of making eye contact. When you're in the early stages and there's still that runner chaser energy going on, after that first instant recognition, you're kind of like, you're afraid of the intensity of that, of the eye connection or that soul connection through the eyes. And I think this is one thing that we have to just come back to. Feel rather than see, if you get me. We've been told, like, you know, you have to see it in order to believe it. And I think the biggest test of faith on this journey is you have to believe it in order to see it. And this is where your feelings come in, where your deep soul feeling comes in. Forget the logical mind for a minute. Forget everything that's happening in the 3D. How do you feel? How did you feel the first time you met your twin? How did you feel when you first recognized them? You know, and you mightn't have been aware in that moment what was going on. So can you look back on your first meeting? Can you see how orchestrated it was, that it was a fated meeting? Can you see how magical that experience was? Because I think this is what helps me to remember this is true. And you know, another thing is our telepathic connection. So there's not just that soul recognition, there's that deep telepathic bond as well. So you'll notice that that's another thing to reassure you along your journey is, do you connect telepathically? Have you spoken to your twin on the 5D and have they answered you on the 3D? That's a big one for me. I said a lot of things to my twin on the 5D and he's answered me on the 3D. And it's like, that's another sign of the soul deep connection that you have. So how do we overcome the doubts that come in? The biggest one is healing our wounds, because those doubts are only there because of our past. Those doubts are only there because of our trauma. So in healing your inner wounds, in your inner trauma, you can overcome those fears and doubts, but become present. One of the biggest things you can do to connect with your twin is go into a deep meditation. or even in silence. Like for me personally, like I don't even need to meditate to connect my twin telepathically. I'll just turn off the noise, and I could be sitting there then just chatting away to him like in a full-blown conversation. And these kind of things can really help you reconnect with them, with yourself even, and reconnect with the truth of the connection. When we're going through that deepest healing, we feel very disconnected from ourselves and our souls and our twin. And we forget, and this is the thing with us as well. I've said this before in videos, right? We could have 100 positive things to look at and 10 negative things. And the only thing that we're looking at is the negative. We forget the positive things. So when we're in the deep steps of our healing, effectively, we're literally forgetting the truth that is within our souls. And all we're remembering is the 3D behavior. And I think this was a hard one for me to overcome, because that's what we're faced with. We're looking at this 3D behavior or lack of action, where our self-worth is being triggered over and over again, and all we can think is, did I just attract another asshole? Am I doing another repeated cycle again and again and again? But this is when we come back to the truth within your soul, come back to what you're feeling, come back to what you feel deep within. What does your soul tell you? And it's not even what your soul tell you. How do you feel? What are you feeling when you think of your twin? And one of the other things as well is the energy you feel in their presence. That's a big one. Like as empaths, we feel other people's energy anyway. So you're going to know if you're in the wrong energy or the right energy. But there's the right energy, and then there's your twin's energy. And that's another one that's out of this world. I don't think you could ever feel as comfortable with anyone as you do with your twin flame, because you're effectively in the room with yourself. They are you in another body. But that's another deep, deep feeling of knowing, is that how you feel it. Oh my God, it's just a complete ease, complete easy. It's like, you know, as an empath personally, I love being on my own. I love being on my own. I love my peace. But it's like that trumps it in a sense. Being in my twin's energy is like probably the only person I can be with and not feel any kind of drain, or not feel any kind of depletion. Like with anyone else, even if you're in a high energy situation with friends or family, and you're getting good energy from these people, you're still going to feel a little bit drained afterwards. But whatever, I like to liken it to, you know, if you're on, I've said this before, it's like when your phone is on full charge and it's plugged in, you know, the battery doesn't go down. And when you're with your twin, it's like the two of you are plugged in and you're both at 111% all the time, and you're just on full charge all the time, and your energy is intense, it's amplified. So these are all kind of ways that you can remember what your soul is telling you, the truth of this connection. Because this is not a normal 3D connection. So when we're concentrating on the 3D aspect, it's not going to give us that truth. This is a soul deep bond. Your souls have known each other for lifetimes. So that's why it's going to feel like, or why it is like, or why it is that you feel that recognition with them. That otherworldly meeting, that moment you saw each other and you just said, there's something different here. There's something real here. There's something out of this world here. Instant recognition, instant attraction, instant chemistry, instant knowing. And being so comfortable in their presence. The telepathic connection as well. So always remember this. If you're starting to feel bombarded with fears and doubts, if you're questioning your whole connection, remember that moment. Remember that moment you both recognized each other. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you would like help on your journey, please book me for a free discovery call today, and nothing more than to help on your path. Also, I have a free webinar coming up on the 12th of September at 6 p.m. Ireland UK time, and I'll be speaking on inner child healing. And also I have a new channel called Aligning with Angie, and I will be sharing a meditation there every week. And the link will be in my comments. And if you need any information on the webinar, just comment below.